right, so today is day 8, and in order to get the calculator to solve it for us, we need to be able to put it in the calculator correctly. So if you have your calculators, get them out. You need a grapher. I got a bunch over there. If you got your own. The 83s, 84s, doesn't matter, they all work. Some of this, the terminology, you kind of think, I don't have a clue what that means. And that's okay. We're just teaching the terminology that way in future classes when you come back and do matrices or matrices, because it's just a matrix, but they call them matrices because that's plural for a matrix. When you come back and do matrices, like, oh, that's what we were talking about there. I've heard that before. I've heard of reduced row echelon form. I know what an augmented matrix is. Or at least heard those before, and that way it's a little bit easier. Because at some point, if you keep going in math, you'll have to solve these by hand, which it is easier than doing. So solving a matrix by hand is easier than solving what we've been doing by hand. It's just a matter of keeping it all straight. Using this method, we will input one matrix into our calculator to solve it. The matrix is called an augmented matrix. So it's called an augmented matrix. And what we do with that is we take a system like this. So this is a system in standard form. That's important. That's in standard form. We need a standard form first. And to put it into an augmented matrix, we're going to strip the variables away. We take the equation, the variables, and all we put in there is the coefficients only. And if you really think about it, that's all you need to know is I just need to know the coefficients. When we were substituting, we multiplied, we added coefficients. When we did elimination, it was all about the coefficients. We didn't care about the x. As long as the x's were lined up, the y's were lined up, it all worked. So with a matrix, it's to make sure everything's lined up. So if you notice, in standard form, the x's are lined up, the y's are lined up, z's are lined up, and then on the other side of the equation, it's the constants. So to put that into an augmented matrix, just write down the coefficients only. Okay? And when we do that then, this is what we're going to put in the calculator. Okay, so these are the coefficients. These are the constants. When you put them together, that makes one big augmented matrix. Okay? So when we say put it in the calculator, that's the hard part. Because you guys know the TI-84s, the TI-83s, they are not intuitive. They're not like Desmos. They're not like an iPhone. You just pick it up and you can start using it. I mean, my dad is in his late 60s. He uses an iPhone like you guys do because he just decided to grab it one day and he started using it and he learned it. And then my mom hates technology and she's okay with it. She knows how to make phone calls, but she doesn't really get into it too much. But if you try to do it, you can do it. So it's one of those things like there's a learning curve to the technology, but you can do it. So we're going to enter it into matrix A. Well, how do we do that? So first off, on your calculator, the buttons we need to use, if you look, write the word matrix. And it's above it looks like x being taken to the -1 power button. That's called the inverse button. If you ever need to find the inverse of it, that's right, reciprocal, that's the reciprocal button. Matrix, or the main menu, so I need to push second and then the main menu. So push second and then matrix. And this pop. So let me write a few things down here first. So second, matrix, which is also the x to the -1 button. So if you need to keep notes for later, just remember how you did it. And now I want to edit the matrix, and there's actually an matrix A, matrix B, matrix C. These are just storage areas. So if we just kind of stick with A, it kind of makes it easier. So I'm going to go over to edit and choose A. So I'm going to edit A. So over to edit, and then A. And if you want to use B, you can use B. I don't care what one you use. Just remember which one you use. It does ask you for the size. And notice on this one it says a 2x3. It's always been backwards in my head. 2 is the number of rows. 3 is the number of columns. I've always thought of it the opposite way, but that's just how matrices are. So I want to enter this guy in here, so I need 3 columns. So I'm going to push 3, enter, and I need rows. I need 4 columns, so I'm going to make that a 4 and hit enter. And notice it adds a row and a column. Okay. 3 by 4, and now enter those numbers in there. And if you just, like I'm going to push 2 and hit enter, it goes to the next cell for me. So just kind of go through and put all the numbers in. Once you're done with that, double check it, because if you don't put it correctly, if you have one number wrong, your ring will be wrong. So it has to be. I'll also come around if you're on this screen. If you can't get to it, let me know. If you're having trouble, let me know. You say nothing unless it's doing fine. So here when it says enter the matrix into A, you have to do those first. Okay, so go to A, edit, type them all in. It says then go back to the home screen. The way you do that is you want to push second, and then you want quit, which is the mode button. That's this guy right here where it says quit right there. So second mode. You have to get back out to the home screen. And that's important. You got to get back out. Now I don't want to edit it anymore. I actually perform an operation. And it says press second matrix. Second matrix. Scroll right to the math. Go over to math. And then scroll down to B, which is RREF. Which RREF is reduced row echelon form. When it's in reduced row echelon form, it tells you the answers. So we'll go down to B, RREF, hit enter. And the calculator is saying, which matrix do you want me to put in reduced row echelon form? So I got down here, step 3, press matrix. And I want to edit it, I want to select it. So here's the names, A, and I want A. I choose the first one and hit enter. Okay. So come around and see how you're doing with that. If you're having trouble, let me know. If you hit enter, it's going to perform a whole bunch of operations to that table. And this is reduced row echelon form, which it doesn't look at it right now, but it's that guy right there. And if you remember, like this first equation, when we put these in, it was 2x plus 5y's minus 7z's was negative 92. Well, this says 1x plus no y's plus no z's equals 14. So what does x equal? 14. No x's plus 1y plus no z's is negative 3. That means y equals negative 3. And then z equals 15. Okay? So when we get those answers, this is like the last column. Whoops, I'm not on the screen up there. X, Y, Z equal 14, negative 3, 15. So that last column is your answers. Okay. Questions? Get that to work? So pretty cool, except is it super easy? Well, you still got to do a lot of work. Now, it is more efficient, it is more accurate, but it is also, you can make a mistake along the way too. It's pretty easy to screw it up, so we want to try not to screw it up along the way. So the next one, let's just practice here. So the first one, just practice, write that as a matrix. So just convert it into a matrix form. So I strip away the variables, what's left? So the first row, what number should I write up there? I put a 0 or a 1 to start? A 1, yep, because there is one x there. There's 2 y's, and the constant's 5. And then 3, 5, 14. So that's our matrix equation with everything all together. What we do have down here, I'm going to show you it. It's not important that you memorize it. I want you to look at it like, okay, I'm going to commit that to memory, but you're not going to be tested over this part. We want you to know what the coefficient, the variable, and the constant equation is. There we go. So we'll just do the matrix first. So the matrix equation here, all of it together, 1, negative 3, negative 1, negative 5, 16, 5. So that's the matrix equation. If I said, give me the coefficient equation, the coefficient equation is just the coefficients over here, so it's going to be a 2 by 2. So the coefficient equation is 1, negative 3, negative 5, 16. The variable equation is going to be my variables P and Q. And it's hard to explain why, but when you're doing matrix multiplication, you put the P on top, the Q on bottom. I could actually multiply these together. If I multiply these two together, this is exactly what would come out. So I kind of separated them into matrices. Because you can do matrix addition, subtraction, multiplication. There actually is no division. There is no matrix division, but you can multiply by what's called an inverse. You can do a determinant. There's all these fun things you can do. You don't have to worry about those so much. And then the constant matrix is just a matrix of the constants, which is negative 1 and 5. And what your calculator is actually doing, it figures out what would I need to multiply this green matrix by to make it what's called the identity matrix, which is 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1. Whatever that is, it divides it by that, so this one cancels out, and you're left with the answer over here. So it does a lot of cool stuff you're not going to understand unless you go through it 2, 3, 4 days of matrix operations and you start understanding it. So down here, if I do the same thing, make sure it's not ready yet. This guy is not ready to put into the matrix because it's not in standard form. Make sure both equations are in standard form. So I'm going to rewrite these. If I brought the 3x over, now it's in standard form. This guy down here, I've got an x and I got no y's. That equals 2. So now if I were to separate these out, so the coefficient matrix would be negative 3, 1, 1, 0. The variable matrix is x, y. And then the constant matrix is negative 7, 2. And when you slam them all together, that's the augmented matrix. So the actual augmented matrix, negative 3, 1, negative 7. Now let's build it and solve it. Okay, so this one, write it as a matrix, solve it. So let's try it. In fact, I'll just be quiet. You try to do the whole thing. If you get stuck, look up there and see if you can help. All right, you guys ready for the answer? Because if you're not, keep going. But there's it on the screen. I'm going to go to the next one and just, the big thing with the next one, the one on the bottom of the page is it's not written in standard form yet. So don't just start typing it into the matrix. Make sure it's in standard form before you put it in the matrix. The calculator. The answers on the screen are down the bottom. Check it out. So if you, maybe some of you noticed it, maybe you didn't, but it's something that might give you a shortcut. Like, let's say I just did a matrix and I want to do another one. I don't have to do all the steps all over again. If I just edit matrix A and then ask it to do the same thing again, it'll update it. So if I go second matrix and edit, and I change it to this one, so I'll do -1, 0, 1. So I edit the matrix, I go second quit. I don't have to go through all the menus again. I can actually just hit, I want my last entry, so it says entry right here. Above enter, it says entry in blue. Go second entry, and then copy and paste what you put last. And now it's going to do the refresh alarm for the new matrix, which I edited. So new matrix is going to give me new answers. So you can do it that way if you want, to save you a few steps. Okay. All right, let's flip this over. Now, real world problems here. So let's go. This one, yeah. We just need to put it into a matrix, or put it into a system, then put it in a matrix and solve it. So kind of got to do it all ourselves. But it says the band sells Nelson's chickens for a fundraiser. The charge is $6 for a serving of chicken, $3 for potatoes. They sell 620 items for $2,814. We need to find how many servings of chicken. That's one of our variables, and how many servings of potato. Just call that X and Y. Okay. So I read that problem. They gave us some information about the quantity, and they gave us information about the value. So when we see quantity, let's make an equation just about quantity. So the number of servings of chicken, the number of servings of potato, if I add those together, I get 620. And if I make an equation about the value, how much they're worth, well, the chicken is worth $6. Potatoes are worth $3 each. So if I multiply those out and add them together, I find out how much total money I'm making. So this is going to bring in 2814. So convert to a matrix. 1, 1, 6, 20, 6, 3, 2, 8, 14. Maybe I'll do it on this one. I was going to show you Desmos in the next one. I'll just do it on this one. You can't use Desmos on assessments. Say you're at home and you'd really like to, I want to solve this problem, but I don't have a graphing calculator with me. First off, make sure you can do it on a graphing calculator, because that's all you can use on a test quizzes. But if you really need to use something because you don't have a calculator at home, you want to go to Desmos.com, or you just watch it. You don't have to follow along. So first off, when you type in Desmos, there's lots of options. The graphing calculator, scientific calculator, four-function calculator, 3D, all this other stuff. Well, we want matrix, so sometimes it's there. Last time it was on this menu, but if I go to Desmos.com, make sure you select matrix. This guy right here. So I want the matrix calculator. And I need to get a new matrix, and the default is a 2x2. Well, I need a 2x3, because mine on the left side there is a 2x3, so I'm going to add a column and just type them in. So 1, tab, 1, 620, 6, 3, 2, 8, 1, 4. I hit enter, and it says, okay, that's the stored matrix A. The cool thing about it, I can still go back and edit that later. So it will let me still edit that. Now I want to see what is the reduced row echelon form of matrix A. And before I even hit enter, right there it is. They did it for you. Now let's say I made a mistake. Oops, I typed that in wrong. This 1 is supposed to be a 2. Watch what happens over here when I type something in. When I delete that and put a 2 in there, it updates it. Or if I put 5 there, it automatically recalculates without me telling it to recalculate. So it is really cool. So this is 318 and 302. So row echelon form. 1001, 318, 302. So 318 servings of chicken. Oops. And then 302 servings of potatoes. Okay. So maybe I'll stop there just to give you some work time, because it does take a little bit of time. Now your assignment is a worksheet, and I forgot to put it in the notes, so I have to hand it out to you. But it's a worksheet that just a whole bunch of put in the calculator, produce a question form. The backside has 3 word problems to it. No math Excel, no delta math. If you give you an assignment from math Excel, delta math, and you get help, it shows you how to do it by hand, which we don't let you have to worry about. That's not in our standard. This is kind of really confusing if you try to solve them on matrix by hand, the way you're supposed to. Well, we do that. It's not something we're required to do. So.